Hey, welcome in everybody. Dave Solentano here with Guitar Tricks. Gonna be playing some rock and metal rhythm guitar styles today. This is week 4 of 5. So we got next Wednesday also. Let's check out everybody. There's already a lot of folks here. Roland's here. All right. What's happening, Roland? Jeff, cool. Gerald, cool. Steve, right on, right on. Yeah, happy hump day, Jeff. Exactly. We're almost at the weekend. I like to call tomorrow, Thursday, Baby Friday. Scott, what's happening, Scott? Dave and all. Cool. Well, hey, man, glad you could make it, Scott. Awesome. And too, Scott, just FYI, if you go on or subscribe to Guitar Tricks YouTube channel, you can have access to all these videos after the fact. Just like Mike Alexi on Guitar Tricks does a Friday night YouTube class. Cool, cool. All right. So just to let everyone know, cool. Oh, and Scott, you're from Canada. All right. Edmonton. Right on. Cool. And then cool. David, yeah, all right, dude. Standing by from SoCal. That's where I spent most of my life. Once I was going to music school, that is. I grew up on the East Coast, but then spent the last like 35 years on the West Coast. Yeah, cool, David. I also see you do a lot of flying. I'd like to talk to you about that in one of your lessons that we're doing together. I see your photos you post on Facebook that you fly. So, and not a passenger on a 727, but you actually have, looks like you fly a single prop plane or something like that. But anyway, cool. We can talk about that later, David. Theodore, welcome. Richard, cool, cool. All right. A lot of familiar names and then some new ones too. Ryan Durst. Hey, Ryan. Yeah, West Virginia. How you doing, Ryan? Haven't talked to you or seen you in a little while, a lot of while. Hope all's well with you. Scott too. Cool, cool. Cool. Hey, Joe's here. What's up, man? Hey, again, Joe, I haven't seen you in a while either. Cool, cool. All right, well, let's get going here. So if you go down underneath the YouTube video and expand the little dialogue that's down there, you should see a blue URL link for the tab, the curriculum we're going to do today. It's actually 2 pages. It's one file, but there's 2 pages. And this is called rock and metal rhythm styles. I'll get that right. Week 4. Cool. So today we're talking about triads. Last week we did diads. That's the little 2-note chords. And it could be anything. You could be doing a 2-note chord as a power chord. And then what we're doing is adding on a pinky to make it kind of an altered sound. Like that. Instead of your typical blues thing. So a lot of the metal and rock guys like Dokken, for instance, George Lynch, some of the metal bands too, they'll play, instead of the pinky 2 frets up, they'll play the pinky just 1 fret up. Kind of like that. We're also doing other types of intervals like Smoke on the Water. Those are diads. Those are perfect 4th intervals. You could even think the beginning, even though we're doing rhythm guitar here, like the beginning of Brown Eyed Girl. Those are little 2-note harmonies right there. Anytime you play 2 notes, they're always some type of harmony, 2 notes at the same time. And then doing some, what was that? Photograph, Def Leppard, that's diads for the beginning of that song. So basically that's what we did last week is 2-note chords. Today we're working on triads. That's 3-note chords. These are very popular. Ska music, reggae music, a lot of rock and pop music. You can use triads in pretty much everything. But the styles, the genres that really use it a lot, folks, is ska, reggae, and then I'll give you some good examples from some rock and metal stuff too. Let me just catch the comments real briefly here. Cool. All right, Ryan. Yeah, thanks, man. And then there's Marianne with her band, Second Chance Band from Connecticut. Cool, cool. And then Zane. All right. How's it going, Zane? I'm doing pretty good. David Carlton saying Queensryche too, Diads and Triads. Love those guys before the split. Yeah, totally. Yeah, Queensryche too. Yep. You can kind of hear it in there. But I'm not going to spend much time on that. I already did last week. You can check that out if you want to get in, see what we did last week. You can watch it on Guitar Tricks YouTube channel. Okay. That would be obviously week 3 on Diads. Okay, so 3-note chords. So let me kind of briefly go over it. Usually your basic chords that you play, an open, like for your acoustic guitar, even though you're playing like on a C chord, playing 5 strings, we typically don't play the 6th string unless you want to hold your ring finger on it. Sometimes that gives a nice big fatter, beefier sounding C chord. Okay, but we'll just go with the 3-finger way for a sec. Okay, even though we're playing 5 strings, there's only 3 different letters in that chord. Okay, and then those 3 are the 3 we need to make the triad. Okay, what are the 3 notes of a C major chord? I'm going to kind of break this down, and you can do this with any chord. Any chord that doesn't have a number in the name, like a 6, 7, 9, 11, 13, those chords are jazz chords or more extended chords. We're talking about just chords that don't have a number after them. Except for sus2 and sus4 chords, those also have 3 notes as well, but I'm not going to touch on that today. Maybe I can a little bit, but let's focus on just the triad part. The root 3rd and 5th degrees is what we're looking for. So in a C major chord, well, if you don't know what the 3 notes are of the C, just figure them out for yourself. And this is a good way too, folks, if you're playing guitar and learning guitar, like I'm sure everyone is that's here, you're either starting out, you got some experience, or you're really good. You probably want to get to know your fretboard, okay? Because there's really good players I've seen. I got some friends that play really good, and they don't really know too much about the theory or the notes on a fretboard, but they can play real good. Might be a nice step to the next level in your playing to try to go one step further and get to know the notes on the fretboard. Okay, so let's just do it right now, right here. And I'm not talking about, eventually, yes, get to know your whole fretboard. But first, we got to start with this area right here. Okay, so the 5th string, 3rd fret. Okay, well, that's the A string. So we're going to do A, B, or A sharp, B, C. That's a C note. String 4, 2nd fret. What's the D string? So it goes D, D sharp, E. And if you don't know how to count up chromatically or in the music alphabet, some lessons on Guitar Tricks could help you. There's definitely some theory lessons on there, some really good ones, and really good ones too for beginners if you're new to this. Okay, so we got a C, we got an E. The 3rd string's open. That's an easy one. We don't have to figure out what higher note it is. It's the open 3rd string. That's the G. Okay, so you got a C, E, G. 2nd string at the 1st fret. Well, the 2nd string's B. Go up to the 1st fret. You got C. Okay. And then the 1st string open, another easy one. What's the name of your 1st string? Okay, that's E. So we actually have a couple doubled notes in here, folks. We got a C, E, G, and then we got after the G, we got another C an octave higher. And when you're playing chords, it doesn't matter if you duplicate the same note an octave higher or an octave lower. It just makes it sound a little bigger. Okay, and then the 1st string open is your E. That's the same as the 4th string, 2nd fret. Okay, so even though we're playing 5 strings, there's only 3 different letters. So let's take those 3 letters and let me kind of give you a little quick lesson, Triads 101 lesson here, folks. And by the way, let me share this with you real quick on Guitar Tricks. If you're a Guitar Tricks member, I'm going to share a file, a lesson link from the site with everybody here. Let me just log in. Oh boy, geez. Sorry about the delay, folks. Here we go. Okay. See if that worked. Okay, cool. All right. And I did a lesson on guitar tricks. It's called Using Triads, and it's pretty in depth. And then just quickly share the link with you. Here we go. All right. Okay. Sorry about that delay, folks. If you're a Guitar Tricks member, you'll be able to hit that link that I just put in the comment or the chat bar. Everybody, if you click that, it'll take you right to the Using Triads tutorial. And what I did is I go over the theory behind it, and I do triads. Since it's 3 notes, we can do triads on 1 note per string. That's how we're going to do it today. Another way you could do triads is a lead guitar way. And we're going to get into that in a little bit, where you play 2 notes of the triad on 1 string and 1 on the next string. Or you could even do all 3 notes on 1 string and then tap it. Okay, we'll get into some of that when we go into rock and metal lead guitar styles after we're done with this 5-week rock and metal rhythm styles. But I'll touch on a little bit of that today, since we are doing triads. You might be curious as to how that works on 1 string or 2 strings. But back to the shop here. So C major chord has 3 notes, C, E, and G. And then the first triad we want to grip on here, folks, is, it's not in the paperwork. I'm just giving you a crash course on Triads 101. I'm going to probably say some things that pique your curiosity, that you might not understand. That's where you can reach out to myself. You can email me through Guitar Tricks, or on the comment bar right here, you can throw in something. Or you can book a lesson with me, or book a lesson with one of the other instructors on Guitar Tricks. We all know all this theory stuff. We can help you explain and clear things up for you. Wow, there's a lot of people chatting in here, making comments. Cool, cool. Roland saying, hey. Yep, Roland's cool, man. Yep. Couple of students are from my old stomping grounds, SoCal. All right, cool. Curtis, good to see you. All right, cool. Cool. All right. Rui's here. All right, cool. Second chance. Yep. There you go. Second chance, Marianne, you're beating me to the punchline. Or you're actually clarifying it for all the other students too. Okay, so the C triad, we want to do this. First string, 3rd fret with your index finger. Your 3rd finger goes on the 3rd string, 5th fret, and pinky on the 2nd string, 5th fret. Okay, that right there, folks, is a C major triad with the root note, C in the bass. E is on the 2nd string, and then the G, the 5th degree, is on the 1st string. Okay. Now with triads, there's 3 notes, and there's also what we call inversions of those chords. So that's where you take the 3 notes C, E, and G, and you put them in a different order. It's still a C major chord. Okay, because no other triad has C, E, G, no matter how you mix them up. If you go G, E, C, or E, G, C, E, C, G, it's still a C triad. It's still a C chord. Okay, so we got that like that. Root, 3rd, 5th, C, E, G. Now what we're going to do is move up the fretboard, find those same 3 notes in a slightly different shape up here on the 8th fret. You're barring the 1st string, 8th fret with your index finger, and 2nd string. And then the middle finger goes on the 3rd string, 9th fret. That's what we call the first inversion C major. That's where the C note goes up top, the 3rd degree's in the bass, the E, and the G's in the middle. Okay, and then we continue up the fretboard to find another area where those 3 notes exist in a little compact cluster. Okay, they're kind of like star constellations. You know, when you look up at the stars, how they make shapes. I think about a lot of this theory and a lot of the chords and scales kind of as constellations, because they all have a unique shape. And once you start to understand and see the geometry on your fretboard, it makes learning a lot easier and more fun. And it makes remembering stuff easier because we're thinking shapes too, on top of the theory. The shape thing really helps a lot. Okay, so moving up further, we got a little, it looks like a D chord shape up on the 12th fret. Everybody see that? So you got your third string 12th fret with your first finger, first string 12th fret with your middle finger, and then your ring fingers on the second string 13th fret. Okay, now what we've done is we've put the 5th degree in the bass, the G, the C is in the middle, and then the E, the 3rd degree, is the highest note. That's called the second inversion. Okay, so those are 3 different triad shapes on the top 3 strings for C major. Oh, and FYI too, folks, if you take that, the D shape that's on the 12th fret, it's actually a C chord though. Okay, you move up further to the next cluster, and you're up at the octave of the first one. So there's only 3 different major triad shapes on the top 3 strings. The root position, first inversion, second inversion, and we're back up to the root position at here. You probably don't need to worry about trying to do them up this high because it's really squishy and I can barely get my fingers in there myself. Okay, so from those 3 shapes, we're going to do a lot of stuff with those. And I'll give you plenty of examples in one sec, everybody. Lee's need help remembering. Well, Lee, I am just run down a lot of stuff here. So that's what either taking lessons with an instructor that knows what they're talking about and knows the theory. That'll help you. And then you just kind of learn it easy, kind of a little bit at a time. Don't feel you got to get it all down in 1 hour. I'm just trying to give everybody something. Some of the folks will get it right away. Some of them won't. Some of them won't get it, but they'll be very interested and they'll seek out more information on it. Okay, so we got those 3 triads. Real quickly, let's turn them into minor triads, and then we're going to get on to what we're doing here in the packet. Now, there are diminished triads and augmented triads as well, but we're not going to get into those. Most of the rock and pop and metal, they usually play major and minor triads. Of course, the metal might play a little more on the diminished side for some stuff. I know Randy Rhoads would do that on Revelation Mother Earth. I think that's what he does. Yeah. I could be wrong. I forgot that where that last diminished chord is at, but it is a diminished type of chord there. But for all, most of the pop stuff and, classic rock, it's major and minor triads almost all the time. Okay. So we're just going to focus on that. Now, if we go back to our C major triad we just talked about, what makes a chord, what's the difference between a major and a minor chord? Somebody reach out and let me know. All right, cool. What's the difference between major and minor triads? Okay, let's see what's happening, everybody. Woo, all right. The flattened third lead, there you go. David, minor third, yep. K1 NG, yep, the third. That's it, folks. So the 3rd degree is flatted. So what we're going to do on your first shape, you got to know where the 3rd is, or in a C chord, that's the E. Okay, that's of those 3 notes. That's the pinky note. So I'm going to lower that note back a fret. Okay. Wow, I forgot to turn my clock light on. Oh, shoot. Sorry, folks. Okay, we got that going. In fact, I don't know if I can concentrate. Hang on a sec. Let's get that fixed. All right. Got to have the cool light on, right? Yeah. Okay. So you got your C major triad, lower the 3rd, the pinky note, 1 fret, and then you got a C, E flat in G, and you can hear the difference. The major sounds kind of happy. The minor sounds a little darker, kind of melancholy, Kind of sad. Okay. Now come up to your C major triad at the 8th fret. Lower that middle finger 1 fret. You got a C minor triad first inversion. Come up to the C major chord at the 12th fret. Looks like a little D chord. The E note, or the third on this, is on the first string. Lower that a fret. And you got this. Okay, so those 6 shapes, we're going to play with some of them, okay? So let me give you a few examples before we launch into the curriculum here, okay? I do have a bunch written down. Oh, yeah, you know what? Another one. I forgot. Okay. So, for instance, everybody's familiar with Roxanne from the Police, right? There we go. Had a little forgetfulness right there. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's the Police kind of have a ska feel to some of their songs. So Andy Summers just doing all downstrokes on the beat and playing them a little staccato like real quick and stop. Okay, it's like a quarter note, like 1, 2, 3, 4, but just release the pressure right away. Okay, that's pretty obvious one. Another one is Sublime's Santeria. They do the opposite. Instead of playing all downstroke staccato on the verse section of that song, the guitar player plays all upstrokes on the upbeat. And that's a big part of ska, is to play on the upbeat, like 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2. These are all triads that I'm doing. They're all triads I just talked about. Okay, that's your D shape. And then you got to know, it's important too in the triads, folks, to know where the root notes are, because that's going to help you transpose it. Remember, we had a C major up here as a D. Well, that root note on the second string is that's the note you really want to know by heart, because if we're going to play an E chord using that shape, we need to move it down the fretboard till that ring finger is on E, which is right there. That's second string, 5th fret. There's your E. Then the next one is that chord. That's like our first inversion of C major. Your root note's on the first string. So in Santeria, that next chord's a G sharp chord. Well, here's C, so we got to go backwards till we hit the G sharp. C, B, B flat, or A sharp, A flat, or G sharp. Okay, so that's also really important with the triads, to know where the root note is. Okay, how about this one? What is the next part? There we go. One more time. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, it's not meant to be played on guitar, but those are the triads for the Van Halen tune, Jump. Something to that effect. They're just triads that we've just talked about, majors and minors, different ones. Another one, Panama from Van Halen. Those are triads at the beginning of the song, but Ed's pedaling on he's playing an E major triad on strings 4, 3, 2. The shapes of the triads on strings 4, 3, 2 are slightly different. And the reason being is because that second string's tuned. Remember when you tune your guitar, everybody, if you think back to when we first started using the old 5th fret method, do you remember that the third string, it's tuned in the 4th fret. So that throws all of our shapes kind of out the window. Anything that's involving that second string, when we go to a different set of strings, the shape changes a little bit. Okay, so like on Panama, he's playing that triad on 4-3-2. That's an E major triad to an E sus to a B major triad. Same idea. Okay, triads, but you got a pedal note in between. One of our examples here, a couple of our examples today are going to have those pedal notes in between. We talked about Santeria. How about Crazy Train, Ozzy? You know, during a verse. Okay, those are triads there. See how Randy's pedaling in that? Like Edward's pedaling on the bass string for those triads. Randy Rhoads, same thing. He's pedaling on the open A string. He's just going real fast. You know, that would require working on your picking technique. Okay, fun stuff, fun stuff. Running with the Devil, Van Halen. Doesn't sound as powerful without that bass and the drums cooking in the background, but it's just playing triads on that one. Lots of triads in the old Van Halen stuff. Hey, let's talk about Led Zeppelin for 2 secs. Stairway to Heaven. Who's not familiar with that? Okay, that little break section in the middle, what goes, let me kind of clean up my tone a little bit. Right here, triads. Recognize that? Okay, that little break section there, it's a minor triad here. And then Jimmy's playing the open 4th string in the bass of all of these. So that's sort of like a drone. It's an E minor triad with a D string in the bass, then a D major triad with a D in the bass, then a C major triad. That's the first triad we talked about today. And then back to the D. Triads in Led Zeppelin, okay? Hotel California, the end solo to that, everybody. I'm just feeding you guys a lot of information and a lot of examples so you can seek out these songs that use the triads. And then I'm going to go through our examples in our packet here. One last one, and we'll get into our curriculum here. Hotel California, the end of the solo, the end of the song, when both guitars are playing those arpeggios in harmony, those are triads. They're all triads. Okay, but they're played individually. The notes are played individually rather than all together. And that's actually something we're going to get into more when we do our lead guitar styles. But I did talk to you about that today. So the triad part, I mentioned I would go over a little bit of this. So what they're doing is taking a B minor triad, but instead of going, so you could play them like that, just hold the chord and pick it backwards. But it's not the right way to play that part. There's a diminished triad. Okay, it's a little better, sounds better with the 2 notes on the first string, and then the second string 12th fret. There's your B minor triad. Here's the G sharp, the A sharp diminished triad. And that actually goes over the F sharp chord. There's a reason why they're playing the A sharp diminished triad over the F sharp bar chord. Talk about that later though, okay? Yeah, so that's that. We'll get into that soloing stuff with the triads and a bunch of other fun lead guitar stuff later. So let's go through my example 1 here. We've got, I'm going to actually clean up the tone here so we don't have a metal sound. We've got a clean electric. I got a bunch of preamps, presets here. Let me get this one here. Clean pop sound. Okay, but we don't want the delay, so let's get that on pause. Okay, so this is a common chord progression. In example 1, it's the let's play the chords as cowboy chords for a second. You got a G to a D to an E minor to a C, and then repeat G, D, E minor, C, and then back to G. Okay, numerically, that's a very common chord progression. We talked about the Nashville chord system at some point, using numbers to represent the chord positions in the key. The first chord, G, is the key we're in. That's the 1 chord. D would be the 5 chord. That's the 5th chord in the key of G. E minor is the 6th chord. And then C major is the 4 chord. So we're going 1, 5, 6, 4. And then with the triads, we've got the top strings doing all upstrokes with a G major triad here. Hey, you know what, folks? I need to take a quick break for just a couple seconds. I'll be right back. I'm sorry about the delay. I'll be right back. Got to use the restroom. I should have done it before. Sorry. All right. Sorry about the delay, folks. Yep. Yeah, Stairway to Heaven. There you go. Yeah, Jeff, sorry about that. I've never had to take a break during any of these classes. Oy. Too much water. All right, so we're talking about example 1, everybody. We got the G major triad up on the 7th fret. Okay, let's go through the shapes first, and then we'll work on the rhythm. Next one would be a D major triad, and then an E minor triad, down to a C major triad. Now, there's 3 different inversions or 3 different positions for each triad. So it's kind of nice to try to find your chord progression all in one area. And you could actually play that chord progression as triads in several different spots. So let me show you how it is written, and I'm going to give you, just to open up the possibilities here, all the other options, especially if you're playing in a band with another guitar player. It's kind of nice to not play the same thing as the other guitar player. So if one of them's doing a certain set of triads, you might want to try the same chords, but different positions for those same chords as triads, possibly. It's also a great way to work out harmonies too. So we got the G major here, D major up on the 10th fret, E minor barring with your third finger on the 12th fret, down to C major. Okay. And then for anyone that's interested, the first one is the G major second inversion because the root's in the middle. When the root's in the middle of the 3 triad notes, it's the second inversion. When the root note is in the bass, it's the root position. And when the root note's the highest note, it's the first inversion. So that's the second inversion, G major. The D major, the D note is up top, so that's the first inversion. E minor, the E note, the root note's up top again, so that's a first inversion, E minor. And the C major, the root note's up top too, so that's another first inversion. Okay, so let's check this out. Let's do all upstrokes, and then I like to tap my foot, and then when my foot is down, I'm not playing. When I lift my toe up or my leg up, that's the upstroke. So you want to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's kind of a nice little effect too, to quickly hit the chord and then release the grip so it stops. So you don't want to go. Maybe if you're just learning it, that would be good to do, but ultimately you want this. Here we go. And 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then usually want to end on the first chord. Okay. Now check this out. That's in the kind of middle territory of the fretboard. We could also do this. The G's here, and then the D, instead of going up to that one, I might go to a D right here. Look how that connects nicely. The third finger is your little pivot. It just moves back a fret, okay? And then the next chord we wanted was E minor. We could kind of come back to the 7th fret and do this one. And then for the C major triad, all we have to do is raise that first string up a fret. Or if you want to switch to the easier grip, it's like that. So you notice how those are a little more of a close cluster. Here it is with that. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and. Okay, now let's do one down here. If we got G major, this will be your first inversion. Okay, next chord we want is D. Well, check it out. You can just kind of do your regular D shape. Just make sure you don't play string 4 though. We don't want to play any of the bass strings. Next one's E minor. Got that. And then for C major, all I got to do is raise my middle finger up a fret. Okay, see what's going on there? So we got G major. Put that up in the camera shot. D, E minor, C major with the rhythm 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, could also do them up pretty high too. G major there, D major there, E minor at the 12th fret. And then to go to C major, you could just put your middle finger on the 2nd string, 13th fret, okay? Or switch to that. So you got and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3, 4 and 1. So that's what's going on Hotel California when they're doing their guitar solo. I was playing the B minor here, The harmony guitars play in B minor also, but the next inversion down. Oops. See how that works? These are different. They're different inversions, different chord shapes, but it's the same chords as what we're doing up top here for Hotel. And by the way, that song, Hotel California, is on Guitar Tricks. So Anders teaches a great lesson on the whole thing. He does the intro on that 12 string, that very complicated intro part, does a great job playing the solos and all the fills in the song too. Let me just take a peek at the comments real briefly here, because I've been just... Yep, John, yep, better late than never. Yep, I just turned the clock on. Yeah, the battery ran out of the clock part, Marianne, so I just am too lazy to put a battery in it. Okay. Steve, oops, forgot you moved to Thursday. No, I'm on Wednesdays now, Steve. I used to be on Thursdays on Facebook, but now I'm on Wednesday nights on YouTube. So same time though, 5 p.m. on the West Coast. Scott, yeah. Right on. Thanks. Always good for a laugh. Steve, all right, cool. David saying, what was the second chord in Roxanne, or the next to last chord? Yeah, those are actually the last two chords. Those last two are actually sus2 chords, or sus4. You could go either way. David, I'll talk to you about that at one of your lessons. I don't think it's too important for tonight, but it is a great question though. I just want to kind of stay focused on just the regular triads that for the most part use the root third and fifth. Although looking down, I see in the next example, I got a D sus4. But I'll explain that in a minute, but that's all. I don't want to go too deep into the Roxanne stuff. Okay, cool. Lee's saying, are the standard shapes that are used for triads on the high strings? Yes. And then also too, like I was saying, a lot of the Van Halen's triads that Edward does, he plays them on strings 4, 3, 2 a lot, like the Panama triads and Running with the Devil and a bunch of their other songs, Dance the Night Away, triads on strings 4, 3, and 2. But a lot of the reggae and ska tend to do them on the higher strings as well. You can do triads even on the bass strings, everybody, but they're kind of muddy. Okay, that's why I believe most of the time you don't hear triads in the bass, usually on the bass end of our guitars, because they're kind of muddy. All right, usually if you got two guitars in your band, maybe the one playing on the lower strings will play the bar chords or the power chords because they sound good. But then for the higher part, that's where you could put a little sparkle, a little shimmer over the top by adding the triad. You could even consider, everybody, picking those chords. For example, one, I'll just go a little deep into this and we'll get on to the other stuff real quickly here. You could arpeggiate those chords. Maybe if the rhythm guitar is going. Okay, that's kind of nice too to pick those out. Or, the idea when you're coming up with two different guitar parts or a part to play along with the other guitar player or the keyboard player, you might have to work with the part a little bit to massage it, to kind of work it so it fits right. You just don't want to play the triad and pick whatever, but make sure it sounds good with the other instruments. It fits in a context of the song. Another good thing, everybody, is if you do that, record it. Doesn't have to be professional. You could just use your voice recorder app on your phone, okay, and just record it and listen to it back, and you'll know immediately if that other part, playing triads the way you've written it sounds good cool, go with it. If it sounds like it doesn't quite fit, you might need to change the part a little bit. All right, Lee. So I hope that answers that. Cool. Yep. Kenneth. Yep. Jump. I played that a little bit ago. That's triads on the keyboard. Marianne, Second Chance Band, saying that this past summer I played an acoustic duo gig. One guy said he'd give us $50 if we play. All right. Cool. Stairway to Heaven. Right on. Did you do it, Marianne? That's the question. That's a long song too. A lot of parts. I'm sure you can do it, but I'm just curious if you guys actually did it. Cool, Kenneth. Yep. Yeah, Max, I played Roxanne earlier. I'm just going to keep rolling down the line here. Please bring back Life in the Fast Lane. Was that, David, was that on Guitar Tricks and it got taken off? I know they license all the songs, so everything on their site is legally done. It's not a, some instructors on YouTube don't license it properly, but Guitar Tricks does. So that might have been one of the tunes they took off because the license expired. Great song though, right? Great riff from Joe Walsh. Awesome. Dennis, yeah, rock on, Dave. Thanks. Cool, Danny, glad you could make it, man. Richard's asking, does the shape stay the same as you move up the same string? Well, yes, it does, Richard, but it's the same chord shape. Like if you're doing a C major back here, you want to know where the root note is because that determines the name of the chord. It's a major triad shape. The root note here is C. If I move it up one fret, now it's the same shape, Richard, but it's a C sharp or a D flat major chord. If I move up one more fret, it's a D major. See, it sounds a lot like that D. If I move up 2 frets, it's an E major triad. See, it sounds like this E is a lot lower sounding, but it's the same notes. These are just really high and nice little sparkle on top. So a little bit of work and studying and remembering shapes, everyone. I know some of you are working on scales and trying to remember the shapes of those. Well, now the triads is another thing to practice and consider. But make it fun though. Don't sit with the book and just memorize all the shapes. Have fun with it. Either try to write a little song with it, take a song you already know, a very common chord change maybe, like that one in example 1, and try to figure out how to play them as triads. Or find some songs that use triads. I just gave everyone a bunch of them, and there's still a lot more. I didn't name everything. And find some songs that use triads to give you a reason for learning them. Yeah. Okay, cool. Scott, cool. Right on, man. Yep. Good. Yeah, a lot of possibilities with the triads. Oh, Marianne's saying in her Second Chance Band, no, I didn't fit the venue and the instrumentation. He probably was pulling my leg and didn't even have fit. Yeah, exactly, Marianne. That's like when everyone yells out, "Free Bird," right? Great song. Same with Stairway to Heaven, but I think everyone's just being a little silly. Maybe they had a little too many adult beverages. Yeah. Okay, so let's jump down to example 2 right here. I'm going to go back to a little more of a rock sound, everybody. Let's get that going here. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so on this one, folks, we're going to do triads on strings 4, 3, 2. The D shape we're going to do is 7th fret on strings 4, 3, 2 with your 3rd finger just barring it, or you could use your 1st finger. Okay, that's that. And then the notes of the D chord are D, F sharp, A. And if you don't know that, you can just hold your chord back here and figure out what all the notes are. You're going to find that they're just a D, an F sharp, and an A. We're just going to find those notes up here on strings 4, 3, and 2. Okay, then the second chord we got, we're just going to work with the triad shapes here real briefly, everyone. Then we'll fill in the blanks with the open 5th string as a little pedal tone to drive it. Okay. Okay, then the D sus4, all we're going to do is add the middle finger to the second string 8th fret, and then back off like that. Now sus4, what that means is the 3rd degree of the chord is suspended. And what happens if one gets suspended from school or work? It means that they're temporarily pulled out of the equation, right? And then in this case, for sus4 chords, the 4th is added. So the 3rd is gotten deleted and the 4th is added. So what is the 3rd of the D chord? Okay, the D is the root, F sharp's the 3rd, A is the 5th. So the F sharp in this triad is on the 2nd string. Okay, we're going to get rid of that and cover it up and add the 4th, which is all the number 4 means is it's 4 letters up, or 4 scale degrees up from the D. D, E, F sharp, G is number 4. Okay, I like using my fingers to count. It also makes a good visual to help us learn this stuff. Okay, so we're getting rid of the F sharp, adding a G. And then the last chord there is A major. We're switching the triad shape to this diagonal. Kind of looks like an F chord, everybody. And the shape of it geometrically is the same. We're just going from F, move up a fret, got F sharp, another fret is G, G sharp, and A is at the 5th fret. But we're not going to bar the 1st string. We're just going to hold each string. Okay, it's a neat way of remembering that shape. It's the whatever key you're doing the song in. It's the first 3 notes of national anthem. Actually, the first 5 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then your root an octave higher. Okay, so what we're doing here is this. Okay, but in kind of rock and roll fashion, we're going to fill in the blanks with the open 5th string pedaling. So we're going to go. And then the 2nd bar, hit the 5th string open 6 times. Now you notice I'm palm muting the 5th string. Did I mention that in the notes there? So this says triads on D, G, and B strings with the pedal note. All right. Yeah, so palm mute the 5th string. That'll actually sound really good. If you don't, it sounds kind of messy. Hear the difference? Now palm muted. Okay, another thing too is don't let the chord ring while you're palm muting. So what I got to do is I play the chord, then I don't take my fingers off the strings because they make noise. Okay, we don't want that. Just release the pressure. So it goes. So this is another little finesse you need to work on for your guitar playing, your rhythm guitar playing, is being able to still keep your fingers on the strings, but not pressing down. See, everything's muted. Okay, so I'm going. Let that one ring. And then when I go to the A string, I stop it. So I go. Okay, and that just repeats. So that's an idea I just kind of came up with, all right? And we're going to kind of add to that, but just get that going, repeat that a few times. It sounds kind of neat. Repeat. Okay, it sounds kind of neat. Another thing too, folks, is what if you hybrid pick? What if you pick the triad with your fingers? My middle finger's on the D, ring is on the G, pinky's on the B. And then I just pick the 5th string with downstrokes on those pedals. I'm going to turn my volume down just a hair. That sounds kind of cool. Let's add to that, though. I kind of hear something else happening. What if we take that same idea, this, you can do by the way, folks, you can do the D with your 1st finger and 2nd or 3rd for the sus4 part. and then you got to switch everything back for the A. Another option is to play it with your third finger, and then your pinky does the sus4, and that way you don't really have to move your hand up or down, you're just right there. Okay, that might work too, but I'm going to stay with the first finger. Okay, and then check this out. Go down to example 3. The first 2 bars of example 3 is what we just did. Okay, and then the next line, the one with the C, C sus4, C, and G, it's the same thing, 2 frets lower, the same shapes. Sounds kind of nice with the A string still pedaling. Or hybrid picking it. Okay, and in the bottom line, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to play the 3rd fret. Okay, like that. Get rid of the pedal tone for a sec. Up to the 5th fret. Back to the 2nd fret, A. So it goes. One more time. One more time. Okay. And then top of page 2 is the rest of it. Little riff to kind of close it off. Here it is all together. One more time. Okay, so that's example number 3. Let me knock out example 4 real quick, and we are almost done. Thanks for sticking around, everybody. And feel free in these sessions, folks, ask some questions. I know we got some of the listeners joining in are doing a good job of that, but you can always comment. No question's a stupid question. They're all valid, provided they're about music and guitar. Okay, so page 2, example 4. Okay, this is using A minor triad. This is a little more like a metal type of thing we're going to do right here. Playing A minor on the 5th fret, strings 4. Every triad on this example 4 is on strings 4, 3, 2. Okay, then when we go to the F triad, all we got to do is add the middle finger to the 2nd string 6th fret. See, I'm trying to do what we call voice leading, where you connect your triads in the easiest, simplest way. Piano players and a lot of classical music, when it's orchestrated, they arrange the chords in this manner. It's a really cool music trick that sounds great. Okay, for an A minor to F, then we go down to G major in the 3rd fret, and then C, I can just bar my 3rd finger. See, there's a lot of connections there. That first part, A minor, F, I just add my middle finger to the 2nd string 6th fret. Then the G, I got to change everything. And then to C, I just lie my 3rd finger flat across that 5th fret, strings 4, 3, 2. Okay? And then the next line, we go F. Looks like an F shape, but we're not playing the first string, so it's easy. Then up a whole step to G, okay? And then up another whole step and make it minor. Remember, the majors look diagonal with 1 finger per string and per fret, but when we go to minor, we've got to lower the 3rd degree, which is that middle finger needs to be lowered a fret. Sounds kind of dark and sad, right? So we got these chords. Okay, that's the idea. Now, what if you put like a riff between those? Let me come up with something here real quick. There we go. So you just try stuff like what I'm doing now. I'm just kind of making up something on the spot. And so what? There's some of it was kind of messy, but I'm trying to find what I'm hearing in my head. Awesome. So it's a lot of neat stuff with triads to think about, people. Good information to chew on. I'm going to start wrapping it up here. David, I'm not using a phaser or flanger, but I think the compression that happens on the internet is causing it to sound a little phasey like that. Because sometimes when I hear students through Zoom when I'm doing my lessons, their guitar sounds a little like that too sometimes. It's just compression, I think, but I don't have any effects on other than a little delay and some good crunchy distortion. Cool. Tommy, yep. Glad you like it, Tommy. Join us next Wednesday. We're going to do the 5th week of the rhythm styles, and then we're going to get into 5 weeks of lead guitar styles. Cool. And then next week, too, we're going to be working on riffs, how to write some rock and metal riffs, and I'll give you guys plenty of examples on that. Marianne, thanks. Yep, glad you could be here too, Marianne. Appreciate it. Theodore, yep, thanks. You're welcome. Danny, you're welcome. Cool. Steve, New Hampshire, good. Glad you're getting some stuff out of it. Cool. All right, cool, everybody. Yep. K1NG50, good. Zane, thank you. All right, Z. Scott, yep. Thanks. You're welcome, Scott. Really appreciate the kudos, everybody. John, yeah, you better be on time next week. I'm going to send someone after you. I'll send my dog Rudy, my golden retriever. Oftentimes he hangs out right here when I'm teaching all day, but I don't know where he is right now. Roland, cool, buddy. All right, glad you can make it. We'll see you at your next lesson, Roland. Steve, all right, cool, everyone. Appreciate it. Gerald, yep. Ryan, cool. All right, glad to see you in here too, Ryan. Haven't seen your name or heard your guitar playing in quite a while. All right, Curtis, cool. All right. Well, everyone have a great night. I'm going to wrap up. I got to go get some dinner, and I'll see everyone next Wednesday night. Be cool, be safe, and keep those fingers flying. Keep practicing. All right. See ya. Bye.